Wouldn't that be
Once I'm asleep, I'm
classified
okay.
as trouble sleeping?
Once I'm asleep, I'm
Maybe
okay.
you shouldn't have any coffee.
No, I should definitely have coffee. But that 4:30
Maybe you're too reliant on
coffee
coffee.
that I drank until like after 5.
Do you think you're addicted to coffee? No. That would be the first sign of anybody. It's a trap, but
I do enjoy coffee. Anyway, I shouldn't drink it after 2. That was my rule.
If you don't drink it for 2 days, do you get a headache?
Oh, yeah. I would get a headache
So
the
it's
first day.
withdrawing?
I would have a headache the first day.
So you're withdrawing?
Probably by noon. Like, I think I have to have my coffee by noon. Maybe 10.
I think you have to have your coffee when you wake up. Anyway.
Just saying, I should not be drinking late afternoon coffee.
I'll make sure that tries to happen.
So what happens? What happens to you if you drink too much coffee? Because I was laying there and I thought, if John knew what was happening inside my head, beside him, on this bed right now, he would be so annoyed.
I would probably call the hospital.
He'd probably call the hospital.
I think we're probably all one cup away from a hospital visit in reality.
I had the shoulds. I had the shoulds like so bad. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. And yesterday I had a productive day. Like I got some things done off my to-do list. I worked on, like I got a bunch of things done on my to-do list. Got a hold of...
Was cooking dinner one of them?
Nope.
Was it on your to-do list? Anyway, moving on.
But now, last night, like a zillion other things.
Do you think it's from the coffee?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. You're powerless?
I'm powerless over coffee.
Your life is unmanageable?
No. Just if I drink it after
We should have a coffee rehab. No, I've known guys running a rehab center. I've known guys that we do random pee tests, and sometimes they're less random than usual, than sometimes. And there was been guys where I would have bet the farm that they were high, like on speed or something, and the two that I'm thinking of tested negative. But I found out that they were running across the street and drinking that roast and brew, the what is it, roast and brew coffee?
Roast and brew on Bank.
That stuff is strong. I've had like a large one and I was vibrating, but they're drinking like 5-8 cups in the morning, and like the one guy couldn't even. He just talk. I swear he was high.
Yeah, so
coffee is a drug. Period. Is that what we're saying?
I think
it all comes from Colombia, so let's put it together.
Anyway, that was the shoulds. I was really able to identify the shoulds, and it was really tiring. And that's not a place that I want to live in. I don't want to live in a place of like shoulds.
Oh, okay.
And so, what do you do? Well, I was gonna ask what you do if you can't fall asleep. You don't.
I take Dilaudid. I put a fentanyl patch on.
You don't ever have that problem, do you?
No.
Like having to count sheep or...
No, because I think when people are spiritually fit, they...
Stop it. I count by 5s to 100 and then backwards.
Ugh. Why would you do that?
With a breath. So I breathe in 5, I breathe out 10.
I just lay off the coffee.
Breathe in 15.
Like you got issues.
I breathe out 20. That's what I've done that since I was young.
Really?
But I also have had trouble falling asleep since before I started drinking coffee. So I'm not saying it doesn't contribute. It absolutely contributes. That's all.
I find, and I'm not talking about you per se, but I find that when we have a problem, most of us perpetuate that problem. So if I have anxiety, I do things that actually cause me to have more anxiety. If I have sleeplessness, then I think people cause themselves to be sleepless even more by obsessive thinking, coffee intake. Weird. Like, just do your laundry. I'm not talking to you per se.
You're talking about me.
No. I'm just saying that people that struggle with anxiety, I feel like they need to be very, very on top of things, on the double, when it comes to like shutting the filing cabinet. Because I think too many files open is actually more stressful, and I find that people with those issues actually perpetuate them. Perpetuate. That's a bingo in Scrabble right there.
Honesty.
Oh, honesty. Speaking of caffeine addictions.
Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Talking openly and honestly to another person about ourselves in an attitude that reflects self-responsibility is critical to recovery. It's important to admit what we have done wrong to others and to ourselves. Verbalize our beliefs and our behaviors. Get our resentments and fears out in the open. That's how we release our pain. That's how we release old beliefs and feelings. That's how we are set free. The more clear and specific we can be with our higher power, with God, ourselves, and another person, the more quickly we will experience that freedom. Step 5 is an important part of the recovery process. For those of us who have learned to keep secrets from ourselves and from others, it's not just a step, it's a leap towards becoming healthy. Today, I will remember that it's okay to talk about the issues that bother me. It is by sharing my issues that I will grow beyond them. I will also remember that it's okay to be selective about those in whom I confide. I can trust my instincts and choose someone who will not use my disclosures against me and who will give me healthy feedback.
A fearless, searching, moral inventory. And then we get to confess it to somebody. Yeah, I think that's great.
It's not usually your spouse that you would pick to do that with, though, right?
No, not necessarily.
No.
I think at some level you can, but I think you need a like-minded person of your specific gender to probably to maybe not to start the process. You can there's pain relief in other places, and then but really digging into it and really cleaning up the wreckage of the past. This is a process of dying of self, getting it out of you, owning your part, and really getting. You only have so much capacity, and all of that stuff. The byproduct of all of the ways that we've lived is fear, resentment, guilt, shame, and those are what's taking up the room. And when we get rid of them, then we allow for God's Spirit to come in, and His Spirit is peace and joy. And
I was reminded of hearing a story about a woman who, and I remember she was quite a helper. Like she really liked to. She was a lovely woman who was very much a helper and really liked to help people.
A happy helper.
Yeah, and just like so giving and caring and kind and generous, and I remember her coming to a realization that like thinking that she had really no problems or didn't need recovery per se, and then realizing that for her she had an experience in her college years that really had deeply impacted her, had a deep impact on her, that she felt like she had kind of like it was okay, it was over, it was in the past, and she had moved on with her life and was decades down the road. And I remember that realization and the humility of just realizing like actually I want to walk through this process because I want to deal with that circumstance and that situation, and I want like in case my life today is actually being affected, I actually would like to just go through this process and just make sure that it's not being. And then on the other side of that, just the freedom and like even just her countenance changed and she felt lighter, and she really had no idea how much that circumstance was affecting her today. And that was a really powerful thing for me to witness, because I would have looked at her and thought, she has no problems. She has no issues. She doesn't need recovery. She doesn't need this program. And I think that's a terrible thing to do, is to compare, right? Because that's me comparing myself to another person, which is so unhealthy and not helpful.
Gives you the case of the shoulds, maybe.
But just how this process really can help, because I thought that line of keeping secrets from ourselves and others.
Well, these are the reasons that we continue to be in addictive patterns.
So what are the things like today that I'm tripping over that I don't want to be doing? The things that I would say, like, I wish this wasn't part of my life right now. Like, I wish I didn't fight with my boss. I wish that I didn't have fear. I wish whatever the things are that are like issues in my life today, if I'm willing to do a process of like a recovery process of going back and actually being willing to take a fearless, how do they say it? Admitting to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, the exact nature of like old things. It doesn't diminish all the good that I am. So many people get caught up on that.
No, you wanna own your part. You wanna own your part and get rid of it. Yeah. And so you have the same amount of capacity, but now you're emptying of all the garbage, and so then you can be filled with the things of God. I've worked with guys that have said, there are things that I will never tell you. And I said, well, that's okay. Would you become willing to tell me? And they said no. And by the time we get here, I know specific guys I'm thinking of actually confessed these things, actually got them out, owned their part, and they walked out like they were on air. Like I actually had to look at their feet, and they were like, big dudes that were like, yeah. So it's an incredible gift when we're actually weighed down by these things. It's a heavy, heavy yoke that we carry around these things. And we have the ability through this process of recovery, the process of dying of self, to be rid of them. And as we give up our life, we get a new life in God. But yeah, very, very, it's scary. A lot of trust issues. And
have you found that as someone who's listened to somebody else's story, that you forget?
Yeah,
I don't remember. And I think that's part of what we're so worried about, what other people are going to think of us. And I remember meeting people and thinking, I know this person, like, and I don't just know them in passing, but like feeling more of like a heart connection, like a deeper connection, and then realizing like, oh, I actually had this very intimate experience of actually hearing their life and sitting with them and walking through this kind of process with them.
But that's a spiritual experience, spiritual awakening.
Yeah, and then for me, I actually I believe that God wants to cleanse me and doesn't want me to carry other people's stuff, and so I just pray it off. I don't carry other people's.
And it's not a salvation. It's a freedom issue.
Yeah, and
there's so many people walking around in chains or trading their chains for another chain of religion.
And so, am I
talk about the interrupting?
Oh, okay, but
that has nothing to do with this, but. I feel like I'm interrupting.
That's okay. So first, let me just say that keeping secrets from myself and from others, it's such an intense defense mechanism, because I don't want to see these truths about myself. And I think a lot of it comes from fear of like it's going to overtake me. That I'm actually going to, if I start unpacking this stuff, it's too much and I'm never going to be able to recover from it. But I had an amazing therapist who had told me years ago that we have like this jug, and so at the time all I was experiencing was like negativity and anger and hurt and the frustration. It's like I was leaking all over everybody. But if I could just like pour out that stuff, like the more anger I could get rid of and talk about it, and the more frustration and the more hurt and talk about these negative experiences, I was actually pouring them out of my jug, and then the good stuff would be able to come to the surface.
And it's not about talking about them and dumping them on everybody around you and gossiping and getting out all this complaining garbage.
No.
But it's actually doing the process with another person.
And having it be an intentional process with another person. This is because when I'm in so much pain, I just want to I leaked all over everybody, and I probably didn't have a clue I was doing it. I would have denied it.
Leaky.
I would have said...
I know so many people, so many guys that have stopped at this because they can't share their sex inventory. They will not do it. And I've seen them...
It's too scary.
I've seen guys come up to this point, kind of share a bit, and then, oh, I feel good now, and then not finish it. And back on the streets, separated with their wives, back using crack. And it's like, this is... It's hard, but the reward is, the payoff is you get a new life. Talk about the interrupting real quick.
Fine. Okay, so I listen to a podcast fairly regularly.
I've been known to jump into a conversation lots.
Yeah, and so it's two podcasters that have their own shows, and they've been doing a show regularly together. When Annie
F. You have to do it quickly.
Annie F. Downs got put in lockdown, They did the show together. So they've been doing this together for like 57 days. And yesterday, after 57 days, like two days ago, they talked about interrupting. He apologized to her for interrupting her. And she said, "Are you kidding? This is my personality type. Like, my personality type, I actually love it when people interrupt me." For her, it was like, you care so much about what I'm saying that you are so excited and you want to interrupt me.
And you're part of the comment. Oh, I know. When I heard that, I felt like my whole life made sense. So interrupt away if you care.
Anyway.
But not to be rude.
So
it's like part of talking, I think.
That is a very fun, light,
except on Zoom. You can't do that on Zoom.
Podcast called Annie and Eddie Keep Talking. In it.
Is it Wednesday? No,
it's
Thursday.
Tuesdays and Fridays.
No, today.
Oh, today.
It's Thursday.
Thursday.
Woo!
The long